As the Packers head into the offseason, one of the biggest looming questions is the future of pending free agent Aaron Jones. Jones, originally drafted in the 5th round of 2017, has become a key cog of the Packers' offense over the past 2 seasons. After getting limited action over his first 2 seasons, Jones rushed for over 1,000 yards and led the league in touchdowns in year 3. In 2020, Jones posted his second straight 1,000-yard season and continued to show his knack for finding the end zone. After a year of trying and failing to negotiate a deal, Green Bay chose not to use the franchise tag on Jones. It seems likely that Jones is going to test free agency, and if he does, it is unlikely that Packers fans will see that G-chain, sombrero, and gold shades in 2021. So I wanted to look at what the Packers offense would be losing if Gutekunst lets Jones walk, how it would impact the team, and if Green Bay should continue to pursue Jones despite the hefty asking price. Before we jump in, I just want to ask you all to subscribe if you like the content to keep getting my stuff to you moving forward. Jones has posted back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons in his first 2 years in the LaFleur offense. Over those 2 seasons, he's posted a whopping 30 touchdowns. Despite putting up those numbers, Jones has never truly been a bell cow type back. He split carries with Jamal Williams, another pending free agent, and even had his touches limited last season to keep him fresh. Jamal is a solid back who's great in short yardage situations and pass blocking. Plus, his energy is totally unmatched. Williams has made comments that he'd like to stay in Green Bay long term and will be a much cheaper and easier to re-sign than Jones. Also, in the 2020 draft, the Packers spent a second-round pick on running back A.J. Dillon, an absolute bruiser. Both Williams and Dillon are solid backs, and Dillon has the potential to be something special. But there's one thing that Aaron Jones can do that neither of those guys really can.
Jones the lone set back, Rodgers under center. 2 tight ends left side of the line, 2 wide receivers stacked to the right. MVS off that stack in motion to the left. Give this to Aaron Jones up the middle, breaks through, 30, cutting left, 35, he's to the 40, 45 to the 50 down the left sidelines, still on his feet, cuts it back, 25, 20, he's got a chance to the 10 to the 5, to the end zone.
And that's turn on the Jets and bust an explosive 40-plus yard run. Aaron Jones is one of the fastest backs in the league and one of the few running backs that can truly go the distance on any play. Over the past 2 seasons, Jones has 8 combined 40-plus yard plays running and receiving, while the rest of the Packers running backs produced just 1. Jones had all 4 of the Packers' 40-yard rushing plays in 2020, with most of them coming in key spots. Jones also has the ability to break a big play in the receiving game, as he's had 10 catches of 20-plus yards over the past 2 seasons. Whether he's in the screen game or running routes on the outside, Jones has been the only Packers running back to consistently make big plays in the passing game over the past 2 seasons. Like I said earlier, Jamal Williams is a solid back with a couple great traits, but he doesn't have big play ability. Over his career, Williams has produced just 2 plays of 40-plus yards on over 600 touches. And while A.J. Dillon has some real potential to be special, it's hard to picture a guy who ran a 4.53 40 consistently breaking off big plays and outrunning NFL DBs like Jones can. I know that big plays are only one aspect of being an NFL running back, but as the NFL has evolved, it's become a more and more crucial aspect. The NFL, like the NBA and MLB, has evolved. In the NBA, it's no longer long 2s and post-ups. It's evolved into 3s and layups. In the MLB, it's no longer singles and doubles. It's evolved into homers and strikeouts. And in the NFL, it's no longer dink and dunk and bend but don't break. It's evolved into big plays and turnovers. Since hiring Matt LaFleur, the Packers' offense has evolved with the NFL. Over the past 2 seasons, the Packers have been one of the best big play offenses in the NFL, but in 2020, that reached new heights. While Aaron Rodgers produced most of the Packers' big plays through the air with his arm, with a league-leading 14 passes of 40-plus yards in 2020, as we all know, chicks dig the deep ball, and Aaron digs chicks. The other Aaron also led the league in explosive plays. Jones tied Derrick Henry with a league-leading 4 rushes of 40-plus yards. These explosive plays powered the Packers to the NFL's best scoring offense and a second straight 13-3 record. And the big plays played a huge role in the Packers' dominance over those 2 seasons. It's hard to describe just how important these big plays are to the Packers offense, so what I did is I went back over the last 2 seasons and charted the Packers' biggest play in each game and charted whether the Packers won or lost. What I found is that over the past 2 seasons, the Packers are 21-3 in games where they have at least one offensive play of at least 40 yards, and they are 5-3 in games they don't. That means the Packers go from a team with a winning percentage of 87.5 in games with an explosive play to 62.5 in games without one. But it even goes a little bit deeper than that. In 2 of the Packers' win without an explosive 40-plus yard play, Rodgers actually had a 39-yard pass. So if you switch the explosive play threshold to 39 yards, then in games in which the Packers had at least one play of 39-plus yards, Green Bay went 23-3 versus 3-3 in games they didn't, or an 88.4 winning percentage versus playing 500 football. The Packers often break games open with a big play, and then the offense closes them out with efficient play following. While Rodgers produces most of these explosive plays with his arm, there have been multiple games over the past 2 seasons where it was Jones whose big play sparked the Packers offense. One game that really sticks out to me is the 2019 late season matchup against the Vikings.
The number 6, Jones. Look at that balance. Aaron Jones. See ya. "56-yard touchdown with a division title in sight now."
Late in the fourth quarter of the Packers' Week 16 matchup with the Vikings, Green Bay had a 7-point lead, but the Vikings' defense had been stingy all day. With the NFC North title on the line, Jones took a handoff in the shotgun, made one cut, and took off. This run ended the game, gave the Packers the NFC North title, and kept their hopes alive for the number 1 seed. Then there were multiple times in 2020, like versus Detroit, Philly, and Tennessee, where Jones really broke games open with big runs, and that led to Packers blowouts. Explosive plays have been one of the huge reasons for the Packers' resurgence under Matt LaFleur, and Aaron Jones has been one of the huge reasons for these explosive plays. Over the past 2 seasons, the Packers have 30 plays of 40-plus yards, and Aaron Jones has accounted for 8 of them. Jones has been the only Packers running back capable of making these big plays, and if you eliminate him from the equation, then MVS has accounted for half of the remaining 22 explosive plays. I'm not sure Green Bay wants to count on the hands of Valdez-Scantling to produce half of their explosive plays if Jones leaves. And this leads us to the question, should they pay for Jones? As much as it pains me to say, I don't see any way the Packers can sign Aaron Jones. As the franchise tag deadline came and went, without the Packers utilizing it on Jones, pressure has now moved on Green Bay to sign him to a long-term deal, and I just don't think it's possible. Reports came out in January that Jones turned down an offer that would have made him top 5 paid at his position. Depending on what numbers you're looking at, that could mean he turned down over $12 million a year because he wanted long-term stability and guarantees. Sadly, the Packers can't offer that. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert at the NFL salary cap, but as of recording this video, the Packers are still more than $10 million over the cap, so they'd have to clear enough cap to re-sign Jones, address other issues like cornerback on the roster, sign the rookie class, and have enough space for in-season moves during the 2021 season. Then you have to take into account the Packers just made David Bakhtiari the highest paid offensive lineman in the league, and they also made Kenny Clark a top paid D lineman. Also, after the upcoming season, Green Bay will have to re-sign Jair Alexander and Devontae Adams, both guys likely becoming near top paid players at some of the most expensive positions. Plus, when you add in Rodgers and Zadarius Smith's contracts, it's tough to imagine how the Packers could commit to Jones long-term and give him the guaranteed money he's been asking for since the start of negotiations, especially when a team like Miami is out there with a need at the position and a lot more cap space than the Packers have. There are possible workarounds to free up cap space. The Packers could waive a guy like Preston Smith and extend Rodgers and or Devontae, but the thing is the Packers are already going to have to be doing these things in order to simply get under the cap, let alone free up enough space to sign Jones. I personally wish the Packers would have used the franchise tag on Jones. According to PFF, the tag for running backs was about $8.5 million, and Jones is going to get much more than that on the open market. This would have given the Packers one more season to try and win with this offensive core, one more season to try and find another big play back in the draft, and also one more season of Aaron Jones before the Packers really have to pay guys like Jair and Tay. But sadly, that ship has sailed. I do want to say that other sites like overthecap.com had the running back franchise tag contract coming in at around $11 million, and if that's what it was, then in my opinion that would have been too expensive. Also, can I just say that's a little wild that the NFL hasn't even established the cap but yet they're still moving forward with free agency deadlines. I'm not sure how teams are supposed to attack the offseason when they don't even know what kind of numbers they're working with, but that's just me. Aaron Jones has been a huge part in the resurgence of the Packers. His knack for finding the end zone, making guys miss, and most importantly, breaking the game open has been an enormous element in the explosion of the LaFleur offense. Jones deserves to get paid. He's an awesome player on the field and an even better human off of it. But I don't know if Green Bay will be able to give him what he's worth. I like Jamal Williams, and I look forward to seeing A.J. Dillon's future in green and gold. But if that's the Packers' backfield in 2021, the lack of big playability from that position could come back to hurt Green Bay in games where they just can't take the lid off the defense. You can't underestimate the value of somebody with the speed of Secretariat at the Belmont.
Rodgers alone in the shotgun. Now Aaron Jones joins him in the offensive backfield. Devontae to the right, single receiver left. Lazard, give is to Jones up the middle. Right, breaking free. He's off to the races. Yes, it's going to be Secretary at the Belmont. No one will catch him to the end zone. Touchdown, Aaron Jones.
Do you guys think Green Bay should keep Aaron Jones? Do you think they will? If so, what's the max you'd be willing to give him per year? Are there any guys in free agency or the draft that could address this big play need in the backfield? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.